Good evening, Americans. I'm coming to you live with breaking developments out of Iran tonight. We are monitoring what can only be described as a national emergency unfolding in real time across the Islamic Republic. This is a fast-moving situation, and we are getting new information by the minute. Massive protests have erupted across all 31 provinces of Iran tonight. The trigger is a catastrophic collapse of basic infrastructure that has left millions without water, without electricity, and without any faith whatsoever in their government's ability to fix it. We have confirmed reports coming in from Tehran, from Isfahan, from Shiraz, from Khuzestan, and from cities across the entire country. The footage coming out right now shows thousands upon thousands of Iranian citizens flooding into the streets. And their message tonight is absolutely unmistakable. They are done waiting. They are done suffering in silence. They want systemic change, and they want it now. Let me walk you through exactly what has brought this nation to the breaking point tonight. Iran's water reserves have completely collapsed. Out of 609 underground aquifers in the country, more than 450 are now critically depleted. We are talking about massive reservoirs that sustained entire regions for generations, now reduced to cracked, bone-dry basins stretching for miles. Officials in Tehran confirmed just hours ago what environmental experts have been warning about for years. Iran has reached what they are calling water bankruptcy. Demand has completely overwhelmed supply, and there is absolutely no quick fix coming anytime soon. Now here is the critical part that everyone watching needs to understand tonight. The Iranian government keeps pointing fingers at drought and climate change. Yes, Iran is suffering through its 6th consecutive year of severe drought. Rainfall is down 43% from historical averages. But the experts on the ground, including scientists who worked for the Iranian government itself, are saying something very different tonight. They are saying this crisis is fundamentally man-made. Decades of reckless mismanagement created it. Systemic corruption made it exponentially worse. And the very people responsible for this disaster are the same officials now telling ordinary citizens to just be patient and wait. We are getting alarming reports that the ground itself is physically sinking beneath major Iranian cities. Tehran, Mashhad, Kashan, Bahramin. The land is literally collapsing at 30 to 40 centimeters per year because so much groundwater has been recklessly pumped out over decades. Scientists studying this phenomenon say the damage is completely permanent and irreversible. Once that geological foundation is destroyed, it simply cannot be repaired by any known technology. We are watching a country literally sink beneath the feet of its own people while their leaders do absolutely nothing meaningful to stop it. And it certainly does not stop there. The electricity grid is collapsing right alongside the water supply in a devastating chain reaction. Iran depends on hydroelectric power for approximately 20% of its total electricity generation. When the dams run dry, the turbines stop spinning. When the turbines stop, the power goes out across entire regions. And when the power fails, the pumps that deliver water to homes, hospitals and businesses shut down completely. It becomes a devastating and inescapable cycle. No water means no power. No power means no water. Both critical systems are failing simultaneously. Right now tonight, over 70% of the country is experiencing unannounced blackouts that strike without any warning. Some areas are going 6 to 10 hours without any electricity every single day. Hospitals across the country are desperately struggling to keep life-saving equipment running on backup generators. Major factories have shut down entirely, throwing thousands of workers out of their jobs. We have confirmed reports of fish farms losing entire stocks worth millions in single outages. Bakeries are dumping mountains of spoiled dough in the streets because they simply cannot keep their ovens powered. One exhausted factory worker in Kazvin told reporters that repeated power failures destroyed expensive machinery and left workers completely hopeless about their future. This nightmare is unfolding during brutal summer heat waves, pushing temperatures past 50 degrees Celsius. That translates to over 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Ordinary people are suffering dangerous heat stroke inside their own homes because they have no air conditioning, no working fans, absolutely nothing to protect them from the deadly heat. In the southern provinces of Khuzestan and Hormozgan, The deadly combination of extreme heat and prolonged power outages has become genuinely life-threatening for the most vulnerable citizens. If you are just joining our coverage tonight, please take a moment to subscribe to this channel and like this broadcast so more people around the world can see what is actually happening on the ground in Iran right now. This critically important story is simply not getting the attention it deserves, and sharing it widely truly matters. Now let me tell you about the deep-rooted corruption sitting at the very center of all this suffering, because that is precisely what has pushed these protests beyond anything we have witnessed before in Iran. For decades, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and regime-connected companies have systematically treated Iran's precious natural resources like their personal bank account to raid at will. They constructed over 600 dams across the country, many of them completely unnecessary and environmentally destructive, simply because IRGC-owned construction companies made absolute fortunes on those lucrative government contracts. Permits to drain critical aquifers were handed out freely to politically connected landowners, even in regions already teetering on the edge of environmental collapse. Entire rivers were deliberately diverted away from struggling farms and desperate villages to supply water-hungry IRGC-controlled industrial operations. One former government water engineer described it plainly and powerfully. He said they are pumping the entire country to death so that someone with political connections can get rich today while millions of ordinary people pay the devastating price tomorrow. That is not speculation or opposition propaganda. That is an insider with direct knowledge describing exactly how this corrupt system actually operates. And here is what makes ordinary Iranian people even angrier tonight. While they suffer through endless blackouts and severe water rationing, the regime has spent countless billions on nuclear weapons programs, on bloody proxy wars in Syria, and on funding terrorist organizations like Hezbollah abroad. Credible reports indicate Iran funneled approximately $50 billion to support the Assad regime's brutal war in Syria. Hezbollah receives roughly $700 million in Iranian funding annually. That money comes directly from the same national resources, the same electricity, the same taxes that struggling Iranian citizens provide through their daily hardship. People see their own infrastructure crumbling around them while their government generously funds foreign militias thousands of miles away, and they have simply had enough of these twisted priorities. The regime's pathetic response to this crisis has been denial, deflection, and shameless propaganda. When blackouts surge across the country, officials lecture ordinary citizens about personal conservation while IRGC-linked cryptocurrency mining operations secretly consume absolutely massive amounts of precious electricity for private profit. Energy Minister Ali Akbar Mehrabian admitted just this year that Iran has had zero new power infrastructure investments in 3 consecutive years. 3 full years of zero investment while electricity demand keeps climbing relentlessly and the aging grid keeps failing more frequently. The brave scientists who tried desperately to warn about this looming crisis were systematically silenced by the state. In 2018, respected environmental researchers were thrown in prison on completely baseless espionage charges simply for scientifically studying Iran's accelerating ecological collapse. Many of the country's best experts fled abroad to safety. Those courageous enough to stay behind face constant pressure, surveillance, and harsh censorship. The government deliberately chose brutal repression over meaningful reform. The protests we are witnessing tonight are not random emotional outbursts. They are coordinated, persistent, strategic, and spreading rapidly from city to city across the nation. Farmers in Sistan, Balochistan and Khuzestan provinces have physically blocked irrigation canals and directly confronted government officials demanding fair water distribution. Truck drivers have blockaded major highways to protest severe fuel and water shortages. Workers, students and retirees are marching shoulder to shoulder through Tehran and Mashhad tonight. Their chants are pointed and direct. Bread, dignity, freedom. The enemy is right here among us. They lie when they claim it is America causing our suffering. Young Iranians are courageously leading this historic movement from the front lines. University students face massive unemployment, skyrocketing costs, and a government offering nothing but violent repression. Over 90,000 students were arrested during the 2022 protests. Despite that brutal crackdown, they keep organizing, using encrypted networks to coordinate demonstrations and document abuses for the world to witness. The regime is responding tonight with overwhelming force. Security services have been deployed in massive numbers across every major city. Arrests are mounting by the hour. But the same brutal tactics that crushed dissent before are not working anymore. Every blackout, every dry faucet, every report of corruption reinforces what millions already believe. This government cannot and will not meet their basic needs. International analysts are watching closely. A Forbes analysis stated bluntly that sanctions will eventually lift and conflicts will end. But a collapsed water system, destroyed land, and eroded public trust cannot be easily repaired. If the lies continue, nature will accomplish quietly what sanctions never could. Iran stands at a defining crossroads tonight. The path forward requires complete transparency, genuine accountability, and fundamental reform. It requires dismantling the corruption networks that drain this country dry. It requires prioritizing citizens over ideology, infrastructure over foreign wars, honesty over propaganda. The question is whether this regime possesses either the capacity or willingness to change course. What we are witnessing is a nation demanding answers. Millions who have endured years of hardship are saying enough is enough. The water crisis is undeniably real. The power crisis is undeniably real. The anger driving them into the streets is undeniably real. And the world is watching what happens next. We will continue monitoring these important developments throughout the night and into tomorrow. Stay with us for continuing live coverage of this breaking and historic situation unfolding across Iran.